update chat. Are there Lauma changes? Is that a nerf? Wasn't this 500 for a little bit? Oh no, it's here. Wait, oh, wait, no, I'm an idiot. Never mind. Yeah, okay, so they changed this to 500. But so we already knew about this one, right? Wait, does this also work on her Lunar Bloom? Like, it shouldn't, but like, if it doesn't, why would they remove this? What the hell? Oh well, oh well. Let's go update this. This is a 21-second rotation with 33 hyper blooms. I wonder if that's too conservative for the assumptions. Like, you could get more than this with Raiden, but for now, let's just assume this. It's fine. Also, I'm pretty sure Liar is better than Craftable. Yep, it is. Okay. Flop, set to Emblem. Yeah. Okay. Also, what about EM main stat on the circlet? Slightly better, but very close, so it's not necessary. Okay, so yeah, I think this is fine. This was changed, right? Level 9, 472.2. What a small fucking change. Yeah. Is that it for this? Do you Q and Lauma? You do, yeah. I think so, yeah. Wait a second. Wait, this is only 27 hyper. 27 in a 21-second rotation? That's way too conservative, isn't it? How many do you get with Nahida? Was that 28? You definitely missed a lot. I think there were more. Well, I believe you. Like, I feel like this is way too conservative for the assumptions. 27 hyperlooms. It's gonna be more than that. But I guess your app is a little bit lower on Nahida than it is on Lauma. I think we can safely assume like 30. And that's 130k DPS. Fuck me, dude. Let's keep it at 27 for now. 28 looks better. That's actually a good point. Let's do 28 because it looks better. You're so right about that, by the way. You're so right about that. On a 21-second rotation, getting 28 means you get 4 per 3 seconds. All right, that's a nice and clean assumption. I like that. Plus 3k. How much DPS do we gain from 120 more EM? We go to 131 from 124, 125. So it's like 6k. Maybe Instructor Singto set to Xilonen is better than set to Singto Emblem Xilonen. We lost 60 DPS. Damn. I mean, it can be better depending on how good your emblem is and how good your set 2 is. But yeah, we also need to add... I mean, these teams max it out in a very trivial manner. The Lunar Bloom, the new Lunar Bloom multiplier, the 48%. Oh, wait, no, you're right. That's only for 2 Nog Cry. I forgot. This is worse. Okay. Also, we need the 40 CV from her passive that I forgot to include here. So this one's still good, but it's not as good. Is 20 the right number here? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Dude, I really don't fucking know what to assume for this shit. I'll just do V2 and start over for assumptions on stuff. I know it's not real, right? So we gotta change some of this shit. We can't go set 1 Lauma on any of this shit because we can't go 2 of them, right? So let's take a look at... I mean, let's just take a look at Kokomi Baiju. With this, you can go flop Kokomi. I'm not bothering for Kokomi damage. We'll just look at the blooms only. So, EM, we have the Liar, then Nilo. HP percent, triple HP main stat. New weapon is on 32 instead of 60. HP Ascension, 20 plus 20 from 2-piece, 30 from substats, and 25 from resonance. Then Kokomi, over how long was this rotation? 24-second, right? It's not exactly a 24-second rotation, but that's fine for now. How many reactions of each thing do we get? So about 20 total. This is a 1 Null Cry unit team? Yeah, it is. So you end up with something like this, kind of. It's a little bit higher because I didn't include the fucking actual damage from Kokomi and Baiju's talents, but it's fucking nothing, so who cares? 140k. This is an AoE, right? This is the actual one. But yeah, we can look at a few other things now. So let's look at what happens with Ino C6 here. Oh, I'm Cornge. I forgot to add the flop bonus. Oopsie. Plus 80 on flop and plus 1.8. There you go. 85k. That makes a little bit more sense. Anyways, this one doesn't have flop. What do we have? Set 1. We also get 35 Lunar Bloom damage from Ino C6. We also get Ino C1 EM buff, which is like 60, like 40 average on Lauma. No, it's good uptime on Lauma. Now we have a total of 5 applications from the C2 and like 11 from the burst and 3 from the skill. 2 from the skill, sorry. So it's about 18 total. Maybe more like 16 total. Let's try 10, 6. We also need to remove the times 1.15 because we don't crit on the blooms anymore. And is that it? That is it, yeah. Really? Is that really higher? You have the shred added? Yeah, I do. You lose some healing? You do. But you also have less self-damage. So it's not really worse survivability. Because a lot more of your damage is now coming from the whole D on Lauma. Right, like your whole D here is nuking for almost 400k. So it's probably more like 6-4 in reality. Decent amount worse in AoE? Yeah, it is. But like this is still Mawika level DPS in AoE, so it's not bad, you know? Yeah, the big problem is not this one though. It's Ino C0, right? I know C0, we lose 80 EM, we lose 35 lunar charge damage, and more importantly, we lose 5 fucking blooms. Yeah, and it's not amazing. How come it went so far down from your last calcs? Because using Kokomi is a lot worse than using Aino if you were allowed to use Aino, right? If we give the crit back, oopsie, this should be looking at H, not B. If we give this the crit back times 1.15 times 1.15, we're at 95k in single target, which is close to this, but I changed a couple of assumptions for this. We're not on... No, we are. Yeah, no, we're not. Yeah, this was the optimal setup with carry set on Lauma instead of Deepwood and Deepwood on someone else. All right, if I go back to the V1 stuff and I change this, remove the 80 EM from flop, remove 0.8 from flop, add 80 EM from Sky, add 10% from the set one, add the CV, 97k, 95k, slight difference in assumptions, close enough, right? But the problem is that this is fake, right? That this isn't actually real, so... Yeah, wait, what? Why is it looking at this? Something went wrong here. How did this even happen? What? Okay. Okay, but it's not times 1.15. Yeah, okay. Yeah, alright. This is what it was supposed to be. Okay, there we go. So it seems like I know C6 is still slightly better because enabling the carry set on Lauma is such a big deal. It doubles her DPS, right? It goes from 20k to 40k. And so because of that, double knockback is still slightly better. But it's worse in AoE, yeah. Can you please add Ineffa R1? I guess I could, yeah. Ineffa on... Instead of Ketane, we need Halo, Ineffa R1. So it's pretty close to Flins R1, but decent amount behind Flins C1. Can C2 Kazuha be a good option? No. C2 Kazuha is dog shit. You need to understand, okay? What does C2 Kazuha give? He gives 200 EM and damage percent you don't care about, right? Sucrose on Liar, EM main stat times 3, about 140 from Flower plus Feather, 180, 160. I think that's pretty reasonable. 405 from Liar, 120 from the support set. I guess that's it. 1226 EM. This times 20% plus 50. Sucrose is giving about 300 EM. Kazuha Z2 gives 200, and the damage percent is pretty insignificant. So Sucrose is outright giving a much larger buff. On top of that, Sucrose animation time is so short that if you swap to her, use E and swap out, you'll get swap CD'd, right? Like Sucrose field time is as short as it can be, literally. Sucrose is one of the very few characters whose animation times are so short that her technical optimal combos include booking swap cooldown. There are not a lot of characters like that. Kazuha, on the other hand, has a fairly long burst animation. And you have to do the skill, which also has a fairly long animation. And she has TTDS. For now, I'm looking at Liar instead of TTDS. Liar being the new event weapon that gives 405 EM. They're pretty similar, but with the new changes to DEI resonance, with the new changes to the DEI resonance, it's better to have her on Liar because she gets 400 more EM, which is a decent amount more lunar charge percent, right? In these teams, you do, so you can go TTDS, but in these teams, you don't, so you should go Liar instead. But it's like over 3 seconds, right? Over 3 seconds on your Animo character is a big fucking deal in teams with short rotations like this. Technically, it's not that bad because all you have to do to make up for it is spend a little bit less time on Flins after the second burst. But yeah, exactly. If you do that, you generate less particles, which increases the R requirements. And so you might have to change stuff with that. Doesn't the 200 from C2 compensate that? Again, 200 is less than what Sucrose gives you. Maybe if your weapon on Flins is Staff of Scarlet Sands, since the 200 EM buff from Kazuha C2 does work with Staff of Scarlet Sands, whereas the 300 EM buff from Sucrose doesn't, maybe Kazuha C2 would be better then. But that's pretty much the only situation where I can see Kazuha being better. I mean, you can use Kazuha if you want something that has a bit better grouping, I guess, but... Oh yeah, there's also the fact that Kazuha's EM buff doesn't apply to Ineffa. There's that too, I forgot. Yeah, oh, no, he's ass, man. He's so ass. But like, do you guys want me to like actually include it? Like, I can. This is C0 Kazuha, right? And I guess I should look at C0 Aino so that the percentage is accurate, right? So C0 Aino with Kazuha, right? 12% behind Sucrose. I'm not gonna add C2 Kazuha in this sheet. I'll just add 200 EM on the Kazuha sheet. 95. C2 Kazuha is about 5% behind Sucrose. And then we can add Freedom Soren too, right? It's 198. And then half uptime on this. 20%, but with half uptime, because it's only every other rotation, because Freedom Sword cooldown is 20 seconds. Loser. And damage percent, same. It's just half, so plus 6%. So C2 R1 Kazuha is still about 2% behind Sucrose. Yeah, I shouldn't be using I know C6 on these for Oron and for Sarah. But I should only be using I know C6 for like the premium stuff comparison. Can you calc Mona now? Yeah, I could. Mona C4. But yeah, the problem is I don't know if Mona C4 actually allows for 15-second rotations, because she does also have longer, or for 16-second rotations, because she does also have longer animation time. And if it's plus 1 second to the rotation length, right, then it's not as high anymore. I should have a notes section as well. I don't have a Farina one with Sucrose, do I? 50% HP, no healing. Same for this one. How do you expect an Ineffa C1 version to rank? It's going to be basically the same as Ineffa R1. It would probably rank a little bit lower with these assumptions, but people who would consider going for Ineffa C1 are generally people that have a 5-star stat stick polearm anyways, right? So they wouldn't be using Cutane, they'd be using Homa or like Jadewing Spear or like something, right? Or Fav, let's be real. Just use Fav. True. Needs C2 Ino to work. 4 Ineffa skippers. I should probably add Fischl to the sheet as well for a team like this. Let's go check if there's anything new. I didn't actually change. Look at this. Yeah, no, okay, this is the stuff we already knew about. Oh my, I didn't even, oh, right, that makes sense. If they're increasing the burst cost, they're also going to increase the burst cooldown, obviously. Wow, they really do not want you to fucking use his big burst. That is insane. His big burst was already probably the worst ability in the game, and they were like, no, it's too good, we need to nerf it. Isn't the higher ER cost a pseudo buff for regular Flins? It is, yes. It is, which is really funny. Like, this is unironically a buff, right? All of the numbers became worse, and it's a buff. Why? Because they basically made it so that the big burst is worse, but you're not supposed to use the big burst anyways. So what aspects of the big burst matter for regular Flins gameplay? You don't use the big burst, so the cooldown doesn't matter, the damage doesn't matter, but the energy does. His energy container is now 80 energy large instead of 70 energy, which means if you get a bunch of HP particles from an enemy that drops a bunch of them, you'll be able to store more of them in Flins' energy container. You also start with 10 more energy in Abyss. Xilonen C2 influences playstyle at all with the energy refund and the cooldown decrease? I mean, technically, it does. Because, like, technically, if you have a fuck ton of energy generation in his teams, you will use the big burst once every, like, 3 rotations or some shit. So it's technically doing something. But the cooldown reduction doesn't help. The cooldown reduction doesn't help most of his teams. It does help some teams, though, right? It helps teams where the cooldown gate is a support character's burst cooldown. For example, Xilonen team, where your cooldown gate is the 18-second cooldown on Xilonen burst. You can play a 16-second... Wait, no, you can't, because she's not Electro. Oh, never mind, I'm an idiot. Yeah, no, it doesn't help shit. No, it helps for Eon-san teams, I guess, for people that don't have Ineffa. That's it.
Deuce on the loose!
Yeah.
Deuce on the loose!
Deuce on the loose!